Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your guy, Darnell Tate, and I am here on tonight. And I am super excited, as always, to meet with you guys as we have this conversation about mental health among men. But before we get started on tonight conversation, this is what I need you to do. I need you to like, share, and tag to let everybody know that the Conversation podcast is on tonight. I don't know about you, but I had a good day, and I hope that you had a good day as well. And excuse that I was trying to look at my phone and try to make sure everything was up and running, and the sound came through. But anyway, that's something that we do. Mistakes happens, right? All right. So the Conversation podcast is about to get started, but I need you to like, share, and tag a friend, even your haters, to let them know that Conversation podcast is on. I would like for you to give yourself an emoji round of applause for showing up on tonight. Y'all, let me tell you what I did. I have a habit of falling asleep with my glasses on. I had got it fixed. But then turn around and slip in them again, and now they're crooked again. So I'm trying to even these babies out. But I guess I'm about to buy me some more glasses. That's what I'm gonna have to do, because I have bent this frame out of shape. All right. So listen, now one thing I am excited about, we're about to do in the month of August, on August the 2nd at 7:30 p.m. right here in the city of Humboldt, where the Conversation podcast and my company is located in. We're about to have our live studio show. The Conversation podcast will be live. I mean, live with a studio audience. We're going to have music. We're going to have giveaways. So much been going on, and we're going to have food. So what I need you to do is check out this flyer. Check out this flyer. If you want to buy tickets, you can do so by online. It's $30 in advance. The only thing I do is scan that QR code right there at the bottom, and it will take you to a website where you can purchase your tickets. On the day of the event, if you come to the door and want to purchase a ticket, it's going to be $40. So I am encouraging every one of you to purchase a ticket and do it in advance and bring yourself on. Oh, I would like to say seats are limited. We only have 65 seats. So I'm going to need you all to come and pack this place out. We're going to have fun. I'm talking about serious fun. We're going to have a poet. We're going to have a comedian and some other things. So look, come and enjoy yourself, okay? Come and enjoy yourself. Let's dive off into this conversation on tonight, and I am super excited to talk about this. This is a passion of mine, actually. So, I like talking about mental health. In the Black community especially, we don't like to have those needed conversations about health and at all, period, whether it's physical or whether it's mental. We don't like to have those conversations. Y'all, these glasses is really get to me. I'm going to take these off because they are crooked. So if I tighten up my eyes, this is not my light skin look. I'm trying to see, okay? I said that for my family who said I get a light skin look, trying to squint my eyes. I'm smizing. I didn't know what that word was until my sister brought it up. Said, you always smizing. Like, what that mean? But if I squint my eyes, it's because I can't see. Okay, that's what it is. But we're gonna dive into this conversation, and I'm excited to talk about this. I hope this be inspirational, informational, all those type of things that will help men especially open up. Men, we have a problem with bottling things on the inside. I know I do. I can raise my hand. I can talk about that. I don't like talking about my problems. I don't like to share, and there are very many reasons why I don't open up. But one of my reasons is that, there's some trust issues there. I've met people who I have opened up to, and everything that I shared with them, they shared it with other people like it was nothing. So I began to, close back in. So one of the things that, by me working in the mental health field, I discovered that also as a black community that we just don't talk about it. We don't talk about mental health. Now we feel that mental health is a white person or white people thing. So when we hear that folks are crazy, like, oh, that's white folk stuff. No, that's what I heard. I was growing up. We didn't believe in mental health. So I grew up in a Pentecostal perspective. If anybody was mentally ill, they automatically got some olive oil. They took that person to a preacher that believe in casting out devils and the moving of the spirit, things like that. And they had that person at the altar and literally pouring oil on that person, trying to cast that demon out. And what when I began to wake up to this, and I had this conversation with my pastor, and I made mention about this particular sister that I knew that she's been mental her whole entire life. And this is where my journey began, because I couldn't understand the person that I was under, that was my leader, that I trust, lay hands, and I believe that he was a righteous man, lay hands on this person, and nothing changed. She stood there the same, left the same, right? Before that, she attended another ministry, her and her family. Same thing happened. Before she's part of that ministry, the family was part of another ministry. The same thing happened. So I began to question, how come? Why are these things, why are they what they are? And one thing I discovered in my searching, and I'm still searching, trying to get an understanding of it all. One thing that I've discovered is that we can accept deformity or some type of breakdown when it's physical. You can see a person who's mentally ill, not mentally ill, but physically disabled. You can see a person who's physically disabled, and you can say, oh, okay, they're crippled, or they got a short arm, or they have a short leg. We can see that. But when we discuss the workings of the brain, we automatically deny why it is what it is. Now, science has come a long way, and they discuss, the chemical makeup and all those type of things about, why there's schizophrenia, why there's bipolar issues, why there's so many that I can't even name, why they exist, because chemical imbalances and things like that. Traumatic issues, things that people have experienced from a child or even as an adult, it changes the makeup or the chemistry of the brain. Those little things that I know. I'm not expert in all this, and I wish I had somebody on here talking about. But I want to talk openly about this. Let's have these real deal conversations about, the stressors of people. Now, this is Men's Mental Health Month, and so we're gonna talk about the mental health aspect of men. And as you know, most of us guys do not like going to the doctor anyway. We don't, man. We feel a pain in our chest. We keep it moving. We keep it moving like it's none other. Like, man, I'm all right. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. And before you know that, we broke down. And the same way it applies physically, it applies mentally as well. So let's talk about this. And I'm going to tell you about my journey. I'm going to be transparent as much as I can about my journey, my experience, about my own mental health issue. I had some traumatic experiences as a child all the way up, and I felt like I could get over it. I couldn't really talk about it because I did not want it to appear that I was trying to blame someone else, or I was trying to make up an excuse for my lack of whatever it was. And I remember just a couple of years ago, it's probably been about 4 to 5 years ago. It was right after COVID, I believe. I just had surgery and I had COVID myself. So here I am going back to work. And when I walked into the job, it was like my whole memory was gone. Like it was, it was hard for me to clock in. Like, how do I swipe my badge? Little simple things like that. And everybody's come to me, they're talking to me, and I'm looking at them like, I don't know who you are, but I know who you are. And I couldn't get it out. So all I would do was just shake my head and smile. And the whole time in my mind, I'm like, something ain't right. So I thought maybe, it's just because I'm tired. I went through the day and went home. But on the way home, I do not remember the drive at all. Do not remember the drive at all. So I'm like, okay, it just might be tiredness, because I put up in my yard and like, okay, how did I get here? What street should I take? What turn should I make? Did not know it all. So in this went on for a whole month. I decided, okay, something ain't right. I'm talking to my coworkers. I'm talking to these parents. I'm talking to the supported persons on my job. And I know these people, but I don't know these people. And the only way that I can call their name out if I hear somebody else say their names. Like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. Like, hey, and then I call their name out. So it wouldn't appear that I was lost. I went to the doctor and I told my doctor, I said, look, I said, something's not right. And she's like, Mr. Tate, what's going on? And I was like, look, I'm saying, I can't remember nothing. The drive here and there. And she was like, well, you had COVID, and that can affect the memory. And then she began to name something else. And I'm like, look, I don't know what it is. I said, but I'm willing to go to a neurologist. Because one thing I do know, by me being in this field, I discovered that mental, let me say what I thought I had. I thought I had dementia. So I know dementia could start out early. And that runs in my family. I had uncles, great aunties that had dementia. And I remember them in a nursing home, and one auntie, she wouldn't talk until she was hallucinating. I had another uncle who wouldn't say nothing at all. So here I am. I'm like, okay, I might be having an early onset of dementia. So I'm going to get it seen about. I'm going to talk to my family about it so we can start the process of my own mental situation. Now, the whole time I'm scared because I didn't want to talk to nobody, because I didn't want nobody to think I was crazy. I didn't want nobody to treat me any different than they're treating me now. But here I am. I scheduled out for an appointment. I swallowed my pride and went to the doctor. They sent me with a neurologist. They just want to test me out because they didn't know what was what. Like, let's do this thing. Let's go and see what it is. And I was preparing myself, mentally, to find whatever answer that they was going to give me, and let's start the process. That way, if I lose my mind completely, my family know what to do. All right. So here I am going to the doctor, and I didn't share this with anybody. So this is probably some of the first time that, if my family is on here outside of my immediate family, that most people are hearing about this. So here I am, I'm going to the doctor, and he's taking me through a series of tests. I can't remember anything, and I'm about in tears. Oh, this is the funny part about it. I am about in tears. Like, I'm sitting here like, oh, I don't know, can't remember left from my right and stuff like that. And don't ask me how I drove myself to the doctor. I mean, somehow I made it. Praise God. Somehow I made it through. So here I am. They did lab work, and they was like, look, we won't be able to see you again until 2 to 3 months. We give you a results then. So here I am panicking, because I'm like, shoot, a lot of things, anything can happen in 3 months. I could completely lose my memory, and in me losing my memory, I could be driving and have an accident. It's just one of those things. So they call me back like, hey, we got an appointment, open, and it's earlier than what we was anticipating, because they said this particular doctor was like the best around here. So they called me in the back, and they're like, well, Mr. Tate, we got some good news and got some bad news. And I was like, yo, just give me some bad news. I mean, I'd rather deal with that first, and whatever your good news is. And so here the doctor talking to me, and he said, well, Mr. Tate, like, what you're dealing with is anxiety and depression. Like, wow. I'm like, that's it? He's like, you seem excited. I said, doc, I thought I was losing my brain. Like, for real, my mind was just slipping away. I thought, all this type of stuff. And he's like, well, the good news is your test results came back normal. Outside what we know is there was depression there, some anxiety. He asked me about what steps I want to take. And I told him, I said, the steps I want to take is, medication for the moment. So they put me on low doses of medication to help me to manage my anxiety and depression. Let me share something with you all about all of this. Everybody manifests differently. Let me repeat myself. Everybody manifests differently when they're struggling. My way of coping with situations is keep it moving. So I know there was moments where I was feeling like my chest was about to cave in, but I thought it was something else. Not realizing I was dealing with anxiety when things got so hard that I just felt like I couldn't breathe and all that type of stuff because I was dealing with anxiety. And the depression part it literally felt like I was in a dark place. And I didn't want to tell nobody that. I didn't want to talk about it because in my community, the African American community, if you talk about depression and anxiety and hallucination, all of that type of stuff, people would look at you crazy. And I told you all that I grew up Pentecostal. So growing up Pentecostal, that's a demon. So we need to put you on the altar and get you free from that demon. So my doctor wrote me a prescription. And so now this is the funny part about it, y'all. My daughter wrote me, my doctor, y'all, my daughter's calling me right now. My doctor wrote me a prescription. I couldn't get my medication. I sent my daughter to get it. And this is where she literally tripped me out because I didn't realize that she was this nosy. So she picked my medication, opened it up, began to read the papers and stuff like that. So here she is calling me and gonna ask me, is there a conversation that we need to have? I'm like, baby, what's up? She's like, I read your papers. I know I supposed to had not read it, but I did anyway. And she said, are you losing your mind? And I just laughed. That was the funniest thing in the world. I said, nah, baby, I'm not losing my mind. I said, baby, we will talk. When she came over to my house and I sat her down, I said, look, I said, I'm having some anxiety issues. I'm having some depression issues. And I'm like, so I'm on a little low dose of medication to kind of help me cope with that. Okay, so let's talk about what brought all this about. When you're not able to open up and to talk without being judged, you tend to shut down. You tend to turn in yourself. You start having conversation with yourself. And one of the dangerous things to do is when you're going through those moments is to start having conversations with yourself, because in yourself, you think that your thinking is right. You really begin to feel like, okay, I'm making the right decisions. I'm seeing things clearer now and things like that. So the first step is find someone that you can talk to and you can be open with, that won't judge you, that won't shut you down when you tell them your truth. And even if your truth may not seem pretty, but you have the ability to come to them and to share with them. And I know I got good friends. I do. I have great friends. And even in those moments, I didn't know how to express exactly what was going on. Like, for example, during that moment, when I had surgery, come to find out I couldn't put the money out of my short-term disability. So here I am trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay my bills, how I'm gonna put food in the house, how I'm gonna pay my car note, my car insurance, cell phone bills, and other things. Then on top of that, we just had started a business. We opened up our podcast and our radio station, and all those things cost, right? And so I'm looking at my friends, they don't have the money to help me out. Because I'm looking at my monthly bills and I'm sitting here who am I going to call and say, hey, I wasn't even in a position to pay them back. So I couldn't ask them to, hey, can I loan, this amount of money? Or would you be able to let me have this type of money, right? So I'm dealing with my own self. I'm dealing with past issues, and I didn't have nobody to talk to, man. It's just who am I going to open up to? Who am I? And this is the weird part about it, because when you're in those moments of depression, anxiety, and whatever mental space that you're in, even when people come up to you and say, hey, I noticed that you're not looking right, you still don't have the wherewithal to even open up to them and talk to them about what you're dealing with. Because in your mind, you feel stuck. You feel as though that I don't have nobody that I could truly talk to. And one of the reasons why I felt that way is because some experience that I had some bad experience with people. And in my bad experience, like I said earlier, I had opened up and I shared some deep things with people. And then those things got put out on the streets and people thought it was cute, knowing certain things that only that person's supposed to know. And even if that person denied it, you knew that was the truth that they told, because the only person knew it was you and them. So here I am, like, dealing with that. Then dealing with, being a 30-some-year-old man. Maybe I was 40, somewhere around there. I can't remember the timeline. Still dealing with the inner child within me. Trying to deal with that. Fatherlessness, man. Trying to rehearse in your head, what could I have done better to connect with my dad? Now, this is the weird part about it. As a young boy, I didn't meet my biological father until I was about 13-ish. And the first time I met him, I was at the courthouse. People say I look like him. And even to this day, I'm not going to lie, that bothers me. And the reason why it bothers me, because I look like a man that could never take full responsibility of me. And see, one thing about it, brothers, if you listening to me, whether your kids say this to you when you're not present in their life, it affects them. They were like, man, I ain't studying my pops. I'm not, whatever. But in return, I had a good stepfather, and I was trying to deal with the separation of my mother and him. And as a child, could not understand, how things became the way they are. Being used to having, waking up in the morning and seeing my dad, the man who raised me, that is. And, coming home from school and doing my homework. And when my homework was finished, taking a shower and sitting at the kitchen table, eating with the man. So not realizing that those things affected me all the way up into my adulthood. Then I had a experience that was churchy. And one day I'm gonna talk open about it. I had experience with that, how I was handled in the midst of that, and the reason why that things wasn't handled correct, because I didn't feel comfortable enough to even share my truth with the people that I love. And see, what people fail to realize, your action talks more than your words talk. Now, that's another subject for another day. So here I am, and I'm nosing this, and so I'm finding myself in a space of depression, anxiety. My thoughts are racing. They put me on some medication, man. I felt like everything's ran smooth, like literally, like, oh my God, focus was on point, getting things done and all of that. Medication was one way, counseling is another way. And I encourage our community as Black people, hey, go sit on somebody's couch, talk to somebody. And I know y'all want Christian, counselors. And I'm not saying all Christian counselors are bad or they all good, but find what fits for you. Find somebody who will sit there and listen to your situation. We have a suicide rate among Black men because they are imploding on the inside. They don't know how to talk to anybody. And that was me. Did not know how to talk, because like I said earlier, what literally happened was I felt like that I couldn't express myself around the people that said they love me, because I noticed their actions. I noticed how they conducted themselves. So I bottled up everything that I felt on the inside, and I kept it there. And there was some times I would explode and get real angry. And there was times where, people like, man, something ain't right with you. Well, what wasn't right was the fact that I was bottling up a whole lot of stuff that I couldn't even get it out. And that's the reason why, like, when I talk to young men, I say to them, talk to somebody. Now, let me tell you something that I was told when I was little. And here I was when my feelings got hurt, when I fell off a bike, or here I was jumping off the roof of the house back in my home state. Here I am jumping off and I get hurt and I'm crying. I should have been on top of the roof anyway, but boys will be boys and kids will be kids. So I would cry. And one of the things they would tell us, hey, boy, hush up. Boy ain't supposed to cry. So that's when they taught me not to deal with my emotions. I didn't know how to deal with it. And anytime I did cry, called a punk, because I'm expressing that I'm hurting. Now, I don't think my parents did that intentionally, but I think that's a cultural thing that we need to address. Because what happened is, when that young man, such as myself, become a grown man, he do not know how to deal with his issues. And that's one of the reasons why we deal with murderers. We're dealing with people who don't have a feel for anybody else's life because they felt like no one else had a feel for theirs. Now, what I did with mine, since I couldn't talk and I, really couldn't cry that much, I ate myself into a space because that's what depression did for me. I ate myself into a space where I felt like the food was better to me than anything else. Now, if you experienced that, raise your hands in the chat. Say, let me know that you experienced the same thing. It doesn't, that's male or female thing. It don't really matter because there's some females who bottled up their emotions on the inside. Couldn't talk to nobody. Had a conversation with a friend the other day, and she made a statement. She's like, well, so much have happened. She said, I didn't give a care. I just, why should I care? That's a traumatic situation that happened and made her feel that way. So here we are as men bottling up our emotions because we feel like as men we shouldn't express ourselves. That's a feminine thing. Who lied and who spreaded that lie? Because any man that can't sit within himself and deal with his own emotions, it's a whole problem. It's a whole issue. Here they are married and they women complaining about, or they partner with whoever, and they complain about that, how you are disconnected from them. Can't connect because connection with a person seems like it's a weakness. What happened? I remember a situation where I was over to a friend's house. Well, a friend took me over to a friend's house, and we was all sitting around just chatting it up, and the young man came out, and I guess, he was excited about the company was there, and the mama baited him to her as if that he was not going to be in trouble. And soon as that young man got to his mom, he was smiling, just happy. She reached out, he reached out, and turned around, and she smacked the mess out of that boy. I was so pissed. I was so angry. I wasn't supposed to say another word because some of y'all think it's a cuss word, so I'm not going to say that. I was so angry. I was like, yo, that's the reason. That's going to cause PTSD. And if he turn around and smack a woman, y'all going to think something's wrong with this dude. Why he beating on women? Why he's doing that? Man, y'all just never know what's going on in a person's life. You never know the trauma that these individuals be experiencing and what they're dealing with. You never know. You don't know. And the thing of it is, we have an alarming rate, and I didn't get the chance to get the numbers because men are bottling up their pain. They are either drinking themselves to death, doing drugs till they die, eating themselves to death, killing themselves, or killing others because of the pain that they have inside, because they're trying to figure out, like, how am I going to make it? No one wants to hear my story. Sisters, if you're married, have a boyfriend, or somehow partner in any kind of way, allow that person to open up to you. Allow them to express to you what they're dealing with. Another thing, keep it to yourself. Remember, I made a statement that I had issues with trusting people. And I pay a lot of attention to conversations. If you're so quick to run to me and want to tell me about something you know about another person, and I'm talking about always, and you tell me their deepest, darkest secret all the time, I'm not going to trust you. And as religious people, we have a way of gossiping, talking down on somebody, and we do it in Jesus' name. Like, we know we got this is our conversation. We got to pray for Brother Tate, man. He he went to Walmart and stole 5 packs of cookies. It's not the fact that you had a conversation with somebody else. It's the fact that you made multiple phone calls to let people know that Darnell stole 5 packs of cookies. You just ready to reach out and tear. You know what I'm saying? So make it your business not to get in those type of conversations where you want to talk about what you know about somebody always. Now, it's a difference, and let me clarify myself. If you actually concerned, get with that one person. Say, hey, I'm concerned about Darnell. This is not his nature. He's at Walmart and he stole 5 packs of cookies. Let's pray for his mind. Let's figure out this, because that's not his nature. And literally go in prayer, whatever fashion, go into that. Now, in saying that, if a man, sister, or if your partner come to you, say, hey, I'm battling this and I don't know how to see my way through. I don't understand it. And they open up and tell you and say, look, this happened to me as a child. This happened to me as a teenager. This happened to me as a grown man. Or let's get even deeper. When I'm going to sleep at night, I'm hearing voices. And I don't know how to handle that because I don't think it's natural for me to hear voices. Or, I think I'm hallucinating. I'm seeing things that are not there. And don't be all nervous and stuff, especially the person have not shown any signs of being violent because they're dealing with some stuff. And as I search my family, I'm coming to find out, I'm talking about both sides. I'm discovering that's a lot of things that were there that was never talked about. And people now figuring out, Uncle so-and-so or Auntie so-and-so that people thought was either, spiritual, because in my family, if a person saw stuff, they was considered spiritual. I'm not saying that person wasn't spiritual, but I'm just saying that, or Uncle so-and-so was very extravagant or exuberant, like over. Y'all know some people like that, right? Y'all know people that's like a bit much, but you didn't realize that they was really mental because we didn't talk about it. We didn't open up about it. And maybe there's some historical reasons for that. I don't know. Maybe, because, a lot, history shows that African Americans was tested on. History showed those type of things, and they may not trust the doctors for that reason. I don't know. But I'm encouraging everybody, look, go have those conversations. Open up, sit down at the table. Let's open up about this, because what's going to happen is that it's going to break some generational trauma. It also opened doors where people can be expressive about this situation. Let me share something with you all, and I've been sharing a lot. Let me share something with you all about being open. Raised my baby girl how I was raised. I thought I was doing a great job, and I really was. I did the best I could do. So I was talking to her one day, something clicked in my head. I began to look over, some things in dealing with her, how I raised her and stuff like that. I called her up and I said, look, can we talk? And she was like, what do I do now? It's like, only time you want to talk to me when I did something. See, I started that pattern with her. If I would have started a pattern with her of opening up and just having conversations, about her day, what she was going through, maybe she wouldn't have felt that way, but she felt like every time I said, hey, I need to talk to you, she felt like there was something going on. I set her down and I said, look, baby, I say, it's such and such, whatever, all that. I'll apologize to you. I apologize because I didn't handle this situation right. I didn't handle you right. I thought I was doing the best I could do. And I said, with what I had, I did the best I could do. Ever since then, it opened a door where she can come and talk to me about everything. If she's not feeling good emotionally, if she's not feeling good mentally, the girl can come and talk to me because I opened the door. And that's what you have to do with the men in your life, the boys in your life. Open up them avenues where they come and talk to you. You may not want to hear it. You may not want to experience it. But what I'm telling you, it blesses that person. And it will bless you because you're able to deal with or help them cope. And maybe that's something you can learn in the process. Whenever a man or a young boy can feel vulnerable, he can feel strong when he's standing outside of his comfort zone because he got somebody to cover him. Everybody wants to be covered. Everybody wants to feel protected. Now I know women, y'all be like, I need a man to protect me. Guess what? A man want to feel protected too. If I share with you my dirty secrets, if I open up my closet and pull out all my skeletons, how would you handle me? How would you hold me? And here we are in 2025, And we still have these issues within our communities, among black men, among white men, among yellow men, because they don't feel safe talking about their truth. They don't feel safe talking about their life experiences. They don't feel guarded. Everybody wants to feel guarded. Everybody wants to feel safe. Why should I have a partner? Only thing we do is lay up and go eat food if I can't be vulnerable with you. The term I like to use is if I can't lay naked. If I can't lay naked in front of you, what does that mean to me? People are killing themselves because they can't talk. I know we like, man, that's suicide. Once again, I'm going to revert back to my upbringing about how I was raised. You know, it's a sin to kill yourself. But when you deal with people who went through those spaces, in their mind, it was blocked because they felt like they couldn't talk to nobody because of life experiences. Listen, what you need to do whenever you find yourself in a dark space and you feel like you can't talk to your family, there's a number you can call. And I meant to save it and pull it up on the screen. You call 988. I believe you can press C. If I'm wrong, somebody, please put in the chat. Let me know. Google it to share it with our followers. That way they can see what they're dealing with, to see they have a way out, in talking to somebody about their situations. Look, I just want to get on here and share you my story about the silent killer. I could have been one of the ones that, literally done myself in. And to be quite honest, I prayed for death on several occasions. I prayed not to wake up because I felt like that I did not need to be here. How many men do you look at every day, come across every day, and they smiling? They're the biggest jokesters in the world. But if they're able to sit down and talk to you, do you think they will tell you what they really feeling, their thoughts? What if they share with you about what's in your mind, what's in their mind? Like, I thought about killing myself today. I thought about offing myself because what's the purpose? And it's funny because those persons, if you look at them, you would think, man, you got it going on. The strongest person have the hardest fights. The strongest person faces the biggest and the toughest demons. And I'm not talking about literal demons. I'm talking about life experiences that really just weighed them down. They face them and they can't see beyond it. Look, just take the time, open yourself up, and allow them to open themselves up and talk to you. And whether you're married, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, encourage them to talk to somebody. If they feel like they can't talk to you, slide them that number, the 988 number. And, you can Google it, follow the prompts or whatever you need to do so they can talk to a trained counselor. If they got insurance, have them to go set up an appointment with a counselor, a psychiatrist. Somebody can help them along the way. Somebody they can feel like they can talk to. Listen, that's my spiel on tonight. I hope that you enjoyed yourself. But before I leave, I want to say this. If you desire to partner with the Konversation podcast, what you can do, you can cash app us at Rare Image 23, and whatever donation that you would like to donate, hey, look, we'll be greatly appreciative of that. Or you can scan the code. That's a monthly donation that if you want to pledge to us monthly, you can definitely do that. I hope you enjoy my spiel on tonight, and you will see me again on next Sunday at 7 p.m. on the Konversation podcast. Y'all be easy. Have a good night. And I love every last one of y'all. All right. Peace. And try to get my thing going. Like, I want to work. Peace it out.